The Galactic Concord Chamber was a sprawling amphitheater suspended in the upper atmosphere of Marivex 6, its transparent domes offering a breathtaking view of swirling storm clouds below. Delegates from over 100 star systems filled the seats, sleek Drillathi with their shimmering scales, the multi-limbed Solari, the insectoid Rill, and countless others. It was the largest diplomatic gathering in decades, convened to address rising tensions at the border worlds and the scourge of space piracy that plagued outer trade lanes. In the middle of the hall sat the Terran delegation. Humans, still a relatively new presence on the interstellar stage, were quietly observing. They were outnumbered and often dismissed as inexperienced, their rapid rise regarded with cautious curiosity rather than outright respect. Ambassador Layla Marquez, Earth's representative, was a striking figure, her dark eyes sharp, her posture confident but unassuming. She sat silently beside her team, aware of the murmurs from other delegates. Humans talk too much, too brash, too unpredictable. None suspected what she carried beneath her calm facade. The chamber lights dimmed as the Concord's speaker, a tall Zarn with translucent blue skin, began the session. We gather today amidst troubling reports from the Rim systems. Pirate attacks escalate. Frontier colonies vanish without trace. Trust between member worlds frays. We must find unity. A ripple of assent spread through the crowd. Then from the human side, Ambassador Marquez rose. Esteemed members of the Concord, she said, her voice steady. Earth has monitored developments closely. We understand the fears gripping many here, but we have prepared. Soon, we will unveil a response capable of safeguarding not just our worlds but the entire galaxy. A low murmur rose, skepticism and amusement blending. What could the humans possibly offer? Whispered a Rill delegate nearby. Layla's gaze swept the room. In the coming days, we will reveal technology the galaxy has not seen in millennia. Laughter, quiet but dismissive, echoed from a few corners. The Drillathi envoy smirked, folding his scaled arms. Empty threats from a fledgling power. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's main holoscreen flickered and went dark. Then, without warning, the live feed from deep space burst into life. A distant starfield gave way to a stunning sight. Dozens of massive warships appeared, black and angular, their hulls absorbing light like voids. They hovered near the edge of the Orion sector, where no known fleet had ventured for centuries. Their design was ancient, reminders of a forgotten age when galactic warlords unleashed devastation across stars. The chamber fell silent, jaws slack, eyes wide. These, Layla's voice cut through the stunned hush, are the forbidden ships, weapon classes banned and lost after the Galactic Purge War 10,000 cycles ago. The holoscreen zoomed in. The ships pulsed with an eerie blue energy, weapons arrays shifting like living machines. Each vessel was the size of a small moon, black hulls etched with runes from a language long extinct. A murmur swept through the crowd, growing louder. Some delegates whispered of nightmares come true. Others exchanged worried glances. Forbidden ships. The words echoed like a curse. An elder Solari counselor, her multiple eyes narrowing, leaned toward her companion. If humans control these, the balance of power shifts. The old treaties are meaningless. Layla held the room with a calm that only deep preparation could grant. We do not claim these ships to conquer. We claim them to protect. The holoscreen shifted to a close-up of the Terran command bridge inside one ship. Humans moved with purpose, activating systems that shimmered in alien patterns. Scientists, soldiers, AI constructs worked in harmony. We discovered remnants of precursor technology in the Kuiper Belt, Layla continued. Using that knowledge, combined with our ingenuity, humanity has forged these vessels, designed to survive and respond to threats the galaxy refuses to confront. A ripple of gasps spread among delegates. Precursor tech was a myth to most. Lost artifacts buried in ancient ruins. The idea that humans had not only found it but mastered. It was almost unbelievable. Why reveal them now? A Drillathi ambassador demanded, voice tight with suspicion. Layla's eyes locked onto his. Because the galaxy faces a reckoning. Because if we do not prepare, all will fall. The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices shouted. Some called for sanctions. Others demanded immediate disarmament of the Terran fleet. A small faction quietly convened, their faces grave. As the session descended into turmoil, a low whisper echoed through the corridors of the Concord station, a whisper that would soon ignite fear, ambition, and war. "Are the humans crazy?" it said, "or something far more dangerous?" Far beyond the reaches of the Galactic Concord's imposing chambers, in the cold, dark outskirts of the Sol system, the human forbidden fleet stirred to life. Deep within the Kuiper Belt, massive, orbital shipyards carved from ice and rock loomed beneath protective energy shields. Hidden from prying eyes and ancient scanners, this was humanity's secret crucible. A forge for weapons the galaxy had long thought extinct. Captain Mara Chen stood on the command bridge of the Peregrine, flagship of the Forbidden Fleet. Her eyes narrowed as she watched the last of the stealth fields flicker off across the squadron. Dozens of colossal warships, each nearly a kilometer long, now hung fully visible in space, black monoliths gleaming cold and deadly against the stars. The ships pulsed softly, energy flowing like blood through intricate conduits of quantum steel. Weapons arrays realigned, gravitational field projectors hummed to life, and sensors scanned distant horizons with unprecedented acuity. Chen's comm crackled softly. "All units report readiness." One by one, the voice responses came, clipped and professional. "Falcon Squadron ready. Nova Squadron green across all systems. Eagle Squadron standing by." Mara allowed herself a brief, rare smile. After decades of secrecy and silence, humanity was ready to reveal what it had forged. "Begin activation sequence," she ordered. The fleet shuddered as ancient systems, long dormant, rose from eons of rest. Massive engines flared with cobalt blue light, the so-called slip drives humming as they prepared to fold space itself. From the Kuiper Belt's icy shadows to the outer edge of Orion's arm, the broadcast sent ripples through the galaxy, in real time. Across 100 star systems, alien eyes widened in disbelief. The forbidden ships weren't relics from a lost war or abandoned graveyards of ancient tech. They were operational, fully functional, and under human command. In the Galactic Concord, chaos turned to panic. "Impossible," hissed the Drelathi High Admiral Orec in his private quarters. "We knew these ships were lost, destroyed or buried." His aide shook his head. "The humans not only found them, sir, they built their own. And their weaponry. It's unlike anything we've ever seen." Orec clenched his fists. "We must respond. Mobilize the fleets." But even as the galaxy scrambled, the Forbidden Fleet took another step that silenced the escalating war drums. Instead of launching an attack, the fleet synchronized in a coordinated display of power. The warships aligned, forming a massive orbital formation that pulsed with quantum energy, creating a shimmering shield visible from light years away. It was a message. We possess the power to destroy, but we choose to protect. Back on Earth, President Anaya Valdez addressed the world and the galaxy via the newly activated Universal Broadcast Network. "This fleet," she said, her voice calm but resolute, "was created not for conquest, but survival. Humanity remembers the dark ages of war and destruction. We have forged these vessels to ensure no species must endure what we once did." She paused, eyes reflecting the glow of the forbidden ships visible behind her in the broadcast feed. "The galaxy faces threats, ancient and new. If we fail to unite, all will fall to chaos and ruin. We offer protection. We offer alliance. But understand this. We will not hesitate to defend ourselves or the innocent." The broadcast ended, but the effects rippled far beyond Earth's orbit. In the Solari Triarch Council chambers, the three leaders met in emergency session. "The humans have rewritten the rules," said Triarch Moriel. "We must decide, join them, or prepare for war." On the pirate-infested fringes of the galaxy, smugglers and warlords whispered of the human fleet in fearful tones. They wield weapons that unmake stars, one said. Who could stand against such fury? Meanwhile, in the dark halls of the Galactic conquered, secret meetings multiplied. Spies from multiple factions scrambled to uncover the secrets behind Project Janus, the codename whispered in encrypted channels as humanity's greatest hidden program. But no one could deny the stark reality. The humans had changed everything. Captain Mara Chen stood alone on her bridge watching the distant stars. A message from Ambassador Marquez blinked onto her console. Prepare for contact. The galaxy is watching. Chen clenched her jaw and nodded. Then let them watch. Let them see what humanity is willing to do to survive. As the Forbidden Fleet powered up, its black hulls reflected the first rays of a distant sun, a silent promise and a warning. Humanity had awakened the awe, ghosts of a forgotten war, and the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to face the forbidden ships. The grandeur of the Galactic Concord's council chambers now felt brittle, as if the very air inside was cracking under the weight of uncertainty. Since the broadcast revealing the human Forbidden Fleet, every delegate carried a shadow of doubt in their eyes. Within the intricate web of polished corridors and diplomatic halls, whispers traveled faster than light. The ancient Dralathi Empire, long proud and feared, paced their private chambers in furious contemplation. High Admiral Orcs, still seething from the humiliation of seeing his fleets outmatched without firing a shot, gathered his closest advisors. These humans, he growled, they've broken every rule. Forbidden ships destroyed 1,000 cycles ago are under their command. We must know if this is technology reclaimed or something new, something worse. A sharp-eyed aide nodded. We have sent covert operatives to Earth's outer defenses. Admiral, our spies infiltrate their orbiting stations, their colonies. Orcs' eyes gleamed cold. Bring me results, no matter the cost. But Earth was no longer the isolated planet it once was. Ambassador Valen Knox, a man whose reputation preceded him like a shadow, operated quietly beneath the surface of public diplomacy. His true influence rippled unseen through secret meetings with fringe factions, rebels, warlords, and disgruntled nobles who feared the human rise but were too pragmatic to resist. In a dimly lit chamber aboard the Concords, upper decks, Knox met with representatives from the discontented Silari Triarchate. The room pulsed with tense energy as Knox's calm voice cut through their fears. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Knox said, eyes steady and voice low. The old alliances crumble. We must adapt, or perish. Humanity offers not only strength but a vision, a sovereign accord to unite the disparate powers under a new order. A Solari counselor narrowed her eyes. And what of sovereignty, of freedom? Your accord demands submission. Knox smiled, not condescending, but resolute. Not submission. Partnership. A future where no species lives in fear of another's weapon, where intelligence and power serve peace, not endless conflict. The counselor leaned forward, skeptical. And if we refuse? Knox's smile never wavered. Then you make enemies of those you sought to control. The humans have prepared for war. We did not reveal the Forbidden Fleet lightly. Back on Earth, news of Knox's covert diplomacy spread through encrypted networks. Some hailed him as a visionary, others whispered of shadow deals and manipulation. Yet even among humans, questions lingered. In a secure conference room beneath the Earth Council's chambers, General Amir Kadim confronted Knox. Your negotiations risk everything, Kadim said sharply. The galaxy's oldest powers won't bend easily. You could provoke a war that destroys us all. Knox regarded the general calmly. War is already here, Amir. We just chose to announce it with diplomacy first. Meanwhile, in the dark recesses of space, the Dralathi espionage network worked tirelessly. Their agents infiltrated remote Earth orbital stations, gathering fragments of intelligence. What they found chilled them. Project Janus, the secret human initiative behind the Forbidden Fleet, was not a relic of a bygone era. It was active, expanding, evolving. Far from relying solely on recovered precursor technology, humanity's scientists had combined alien designs with human ingenuity, quantum AI and bioengineering to craft ships that were alive in a sense, adaptive, intelligent, nearly impossible to destroy. A report from a deep-cover Dralathi operative came back with a single phrase: humanity has crossed a line no one thought possible. At the Concord, the atmosphere thickened. Voices rose in heated debate, factions forming along new lines. Some urged caution and alliance with Earth, seeking to leverage the human fleet's strength for their own gain. Others called for immediate military buildup, wary of becoming pawns, in an unfolding power shift. Amid the turmoil, Ambassador Leila Marquez watched from the sidelines. She had seen the initial reveal, the panic, and now the wheels of politics grinding forward. One night she received an encrypted message from Nox. The time to act is soon. The galaxy watches, but it is those who move first who will shape the future. Meet me at Lysar Prime. Layla hesitated but knew the truth. There was no neutral ground left. The shadows in the council were growing darker, and humanity's path was about to collide headfirst with the ambitions and fears of a galaxy unprepared for what was coming. As she prepared to leave for the secret summit, Layla allowed herself a brief moment of doubt. Were they heralds of a new era, or the spark that would ignite a war unlike any the stars had seen? Outside, the stars burned cold and distant, watching silently as the game of shadows unfolded. The void beyond the Sol system was eerily silent, a darkness so deep that even distant stars seemed muted. Somewhere far out, where human patrols rarely ventured openly, the Dralathi Empire's strike fleet approached with cold precision. High Admiral Orcs' voice resonated through the command ship Velkath, a leviathan of Dralathi steel and ancient craftsmanship. We test their resolve. We show the galaxy that humanity's bravado is a mask for weakness. The fleet's sleek dreadnoughts and frigates slipped forward, cloaked in advanced stealth fields. Their mission was clear: provoke the humans, force a response, and measure the true power behind the forbidden ships. But they had gravely underestimated the scale of humanity's readiness. On the bridge of the Peregrine, Captain Mara Chen's calm voice echoed over the comms. Dralathi fleet detected. Confirmed hostile approach. All squads to battle stations. This is no drill. The black hulls of the Forbidden Fleet shifted and reformed into battle array, a dance of engineered death. The ship's quantum sensors locked onto the invaders with uncanny accuracy. Engage slip drives, Mara commanded. Prepare gravitational disruptors and rail cannons. The Dralathi strike force was confident, veteran, but they soon found themselves in a nightmare unlike any before. In an instant, the lead Dralathi dreadnought was targeted by an unseen weapon, a quantum imploder, sending out a pulse that unraveled its molecular bonds. The ship exploded silently, collapsing inward like a dying star. Report, Orek barked. Lead ship lost, a subordinate gasped. Unknown weapon signature, devastating efficiency. The rest of the fleet scrambled, but the Forbidden Fleet's ships moved with lethal precision, coordinating through AI networks faster than any biological mind could command. Rail cannons unleashed streams of hyper-accelerated projectiles, ripping through Dralathi shields and hulls. Gravitational wave projectors distorted space around enemy ships, tearing them apart with crushing tidal forces. In minutes, a third of the Dralathi fleet was obliterated or forced into retreat. Orek's pride, shattered, replaced by cold fury. Withdraw, regroup, report to the conquered. The surviving ships fled back into the blackness, their once unchallenged dominance broken. Back in the Galactic Concord, the news spread like wildfire. The broadcast showed the moment the Dralathi dreadnought vanished, swallowed by an implosion of light and dark. A stunned silence followed. Then murmurs, fear, disbelief, and grudging respect. In the Human Command Center on Earth, President Anaya Valdez observed the feed, expression unreadable. This was never about conquest, she told her advisors. We've demonstrated what we must to protect ourselves. Now the galaxy knows the truth. Ambassador Leila Marquez stood beside her, nodding slowly. The Dralathi learned what many suspected but never dared confront, that humanity will not be pushed aside. Meanwhile, far from the political centers, news of the battle sparked unrest and recalibration across the galaxy. In the Solari homeworld, Triarch Moriel called an emergency session. The humans are not just a rising power. They are an existential force. Pirate lords and fringe warbands whispered nervously, some seeking alliances with Earth, others fleeing systems rumored to be under human protection. The Dralathi Imperium faced internal turmoil. Some factions demanded retaliation, others advocated diplomacy. Fear of outright war with humanity tempered their wrath. High Admiral Auric, isolated and humiliated, plotted in secret. They may have won today, he vowed, but the war has just begun. We will find their weakness. On Earth, Captain Mara Chen allowed herself a rare moment of quiet. She stood on the observation deck of the Peregrine, gazing at the distant stars. A message flickered on her comm, a simple line from Ambassador Valen Knox. They will come again. Prepare. Mara clenched her fists. Humanity's enemies were awakening, but so was humanity's resolve. The forbidden ships were not just weapons of war. They were a promise that no threat, no matter how ancient or powerful, would ever push humanity to extinction, and, in the cold silence of space, that promise echoed louder than any war cry. While the galaxy's eyes remained fixed on the spectacle of the Forbidden Fleet's display, a far quieter battle was already underway, one fought in shadows and silence. Deep in the uncharted sectors of the Helix Nebula, human special operations units slipped past sensor grids and patrols, invisible ghosts moving through enemy space. These were the silent warriors of Project Janus, elite crews trained not only in combat, but in subterfuge, sabotage, and the retrieval of vital intelligence. Lieutenant Cale Draven led one such team aboard the stealth vessel Nightshade. Their mission: infiltrate the mining colony on Virtus Prime, a secret Dralathi outpost rumored to house advanced weapons components. We go in quiet, Cale ordered, voice steady through the comms. No alarms. Extract data, disable their systems. As the Nightshade cloaked itself against the swirling gas clouds, Cale felt the familiar surge of adrenaline, the kind only true warriors knew. This was a different kind of warfare. No grand battleships firing salvos, no roaring explosions visible across the stars. This was the war beneath the war, the chess game of spies, assassins, and shadow fleets. Inside the colony, human operatives moved like phantoms, bypassing security with a combination of hacking prowess and silent takedowns. Each door breached, each system compromised was a victory invisible to the galaxy. Back in the political centers, Ambassador Valen Knox's network blossomed. His meetings with rebellious factions and disenfranchised nobles deepened. Knox offered not just weapons or protection, but a vision, an end to endless bloodshed through unity under the Sovereign Accord. Some skeptics remained, but many desperate leaders saw the wisdom in his words. The old alliances, fractured and weary, began to shift, yet Knox knew the cost. Every alliance forged in secret carried the risk of betrayal. In the shadows of the Galactic conquered, whispers of an underground resistance aligned with Earth circulated. Groups who rejected the fractured old ways and embraced humanity's promise of strength and order. On Virtus Prime, Cale's team reached the core databanks just as the colony's alert systems blared to life. Dralathi security forces flooded corridors, weapons drawn. "We've been compromised," Kyle hissed. The operatives fought with lethal efficiency, silent but deadly. As alarms echoed, Kyle initiated the data upload, fingers flying over the console. Outside, Nightshade deployed drones to intercept incoming patrols and lay down smoke screens. The fragile mission teetered on a knife's edge. "Upload at 90%, Kyle announced. "Hold position." Suddenly, a Dralathi commander burst through the hatch, weapon raised. Kyle reacted instinctively, firing a precise shot that disabled the intruder. But more were coming. "Time to vanish," Kyle ordered. The Nightshade activated its cloaking drive, slipping into the nebula's swirling mists. just as explosions rippled through the colony behind them. As the team retreated, the data they carried held secrets that could tip the scales. A blueprint of Dralathi weapon upgrades, locations of hidden fleets, and encrypted communications revealing planned attacks. Back on Earth, scientists and strategists pored over the information. The picture of a coming storm grew clearer. Meanwhile, the Galactic Concord descended further, into chaos. Factions aligned for or against humanity's sovereign accord, tensions boiling beneath a fragile diplomatic surface. Pirates, sensing opportunity, expanded their raids into unprotected systems. But some, terrified of the human fleet's reach, sought uneasy truces, offering intelligence or safe passage in exchange for protection. In the midst of the growing unrest, Ambassador Layla Marquez and Valen Knox prepared for the next decisive move, a summit at Lysar Prime, a neutral world where old enemies and new allies would confront the future. Layla, standing before a holographic map of the galaxy, turned to Knox. "The war is no longer just in the stars," she said quietly. "It's in the shadows in every hidden corner," Knox nodded. "And only those who control the shadows will survive." As the nightshade vanished into the dark expanse, carrying secrets that could ignite or avert war, the galaxy held its breath. The unseen war had begun, and its outcome would shape the fate of all. Lysar Prime was a world of contrasts, ancient, towering forests shadowing sleek crystalline cities, a neutral ground shaped by millennia of diplomacy and conflict. As the sun dipped beneath purple horizons, ships from across the galaxy arrived in cautious procession, their flags and emblems fluttering like a kaleidoscope of old grudges and fragile hopes. The grand hall of the Lysar Accord Chamber was a spectacle of alien architecture, vaulted ceilings shimmering with bioluminescent tendrils, walls that shifted color to reflect the emotions of those within. Here the galaxy's most powerful and wary convened, emissaries, warlords, diplomats, and spies. At the center, Ambassador Layla Marquez of Earth stood poised and resolute, her gaze steady as dozens of eyes turned toward her. Beside her, Valen, Knox, calm, calculating, moved through the crowd, weaving quiet alliances and diffusing brewing conflicts with practiced ease. The summit had been called to address the seismic changes unleashed by the reveal of the Forbidden Fleet and the skirmishes that followed. The galaxy hung on a knife's edge. Would this gathering usher peace or ignite full-scale war? The first speaker was Triarch Moriel of the Solari, her voice like silk threaded with steel. "Humanity's rise challenges all we know. Your forbidden fleet is a marvel, but also a threat to our sovereignty. We demand assurances that this power will not be wielded as a tool of domination." Layla stepped forward, meeting the Triarch's gaze without faltering. "We seek not to dominate, but to protect. The Sovereign Accord is an offer to build a new galaxy, one where no species lives in fear of annihilation, but it requires trust and cooperation." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Trust was a rare commodity. Suddenly, a delegation of Dralathi stormed in, led by a grim-faced High Admiral Orc, his presence casting a shadow over the assembly. Orc's voice cut through the tense silence. "The Dralathi Imperium rejects any pact that surrenders our independence. Your fleet may have won a battle, but the war for the galaxy's soul is far from over." Valen Knox rose, addressing the room with a voice smooth yet firm. "The past is a weight, but it must not chain the future. We propose a trial period of the Accord, joint patrols, intelligence sharing, conflict mediation." An elder Rill delegate, many-limbed and inscrutable, leaned forward. "And what of the pirates? The chaos that festers on the borders? How do you propose to address those who refuse alliance?" Layla responded swiftly. "With the strength of all our combined fleets. The forbidden ships are just the beginning. Together we can bring order to the frontier, protect the innocent, and end the cycles of violence." Yet beneath the diplomatic veneer, tensions simmered. Knox pulled Layla aside as the chamber broke into smaller debates. "Not everyone here wants peace," he murmured. "Orc is a dangerous man, his pride blinds him, and there are others who will strike before the Accord can take root." Layla nodded. We must be ready. This summit is only the beginning. As the day wore on, secret meetings unfolded behind closed doors. Old enemies trading veiled threats, new alliances forged in whispered promises. Nox's network spread like a web, binding together factions hungry for power but wary of isolation. Meanwhile, Layla convened with her own team, analyzing data from recent covert operations, like the Nightshade's mission in the Helix Nebula. The intelligence painted a picture of a galaxy on the brink, pirate activity increasing, shadow fleets maneuvering, and political assassinations sparking unrest. War is brewing, Layla said grimly, and the first shots may come from where we least expect. That night, as the stars twinkled coldly above Lysar Prime, a shadow moved through the corridors of the Accord chamber, a figure cloaked in darkness, slipping past guards and sensors. In a hidden chamber, the figure placed a small data crystal on a console, triggering a silent transmission. Somewhere, far beyond Lysar Prime, the message would ignite flames of rebellion, chaos, and war. And as the galaxy debated peace, the seeds of its destruction had already been sown. Layla's voice echoed through her comm, urgent and clear. Prepare for anything. The summit may end, but the real battle has only just begun. Outside, Lysar Prime's skies burned with the cold light of distant stars, silent witnesses to a fragile peace on the brink of collapse. The fragile hope born at Lysar Prime shattered in a single violent moment. The summit was still in session when alarms blared through the chambers. Holographic displays flickered, revealing a sudden outbreak of explosions in orbit above the neutral world. Layla Marquez's heart sank as she watched massive firestorms engulf several docking platforms. Panic rippled through the delegates. "This is sabotage," Valen Nox said grimly. A message and a warning. The council chambers erupted into chaos, voices shouting accusations and demands. Yet no one knew who had struck, or why. In the command room beneath the city, Layla and Nox scrambled to trace the attack's origins. The data revealed something more troubling. The sabotage came from inside Lysar Prime's own defense grid. An inside job, Nox muttered. Someone wants this summit to fail. High Admiral Orcs was quick to seize the moment, his voice dripping with cold triumph. The humans preach peace while their agents burn our allies. This proves their true nature. Layla's gaze burned with frustration. This isn't over, if it ever was. Outside, amidst the chaos, a covert team of assassins slipped through shadows toward the Central Council. Their target, the delegates who dared to trust humanity. Lieutenant Cale Draven, recently returned from the Helix Nebula, sensed the shift immediately. His instincts screamed danger. "Security breach in the East Wing," he shouted over comms, rallying his squad. Gunfire erupted in narrow corridors as Cale's team confronted masked assailants, expert killers who struck swiftly, but were no match for the trained operatives. The battle spilled into the Grand Hall where delegates scrambled for cover. Layla, shielded by her security detail, locked eyes with Nox. "We need to find who's behind this." Nox's expression was grim. Someone with access, influence, and a hunger to see this galaxy torn apart. Meanwhile, deep in the underbelly of Lysar Prime, a hidden chamber flickered to life. On a hollow screen, a masked figure addressed a group of conspirators. "The humans' peace is a lie," the voice hissed. "Their forbidden fleet is a threat to us all. We will burn their hope and shatter their alliances." A plan unfolded. Strike where trust is weakest, force factions into chaos, and watch as the galaxy consumes itself. Back on the surface, the fallout was immediate and brutal. Ships loyal to various factions began raising battle stations, distrust igniting old grudges. Communication lines broke down and threats of war escalated faster than diplomats could calm the fires. Layla and Nox worked tirelessly, sending messages of peace and calls for unity. But the damage was done. In the midst of the turmoil, Captain Marachen received word of the attack. She stood on the deck of the Peregrine watching the transmissions with a hard edge to her voice. "Prepare the fleet," she ordered. "If the galaxy falls to chaos, humanity will stand ready to restore order." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Jiro Kincaid, looked uneasy. And if the others see that as an act of aggression? Mara's gaze hardened. Then they will learn that humanity's patience has limits. We did not awaken the Forbidden Fleet to be destroyed by suspicion and hate. As the fires of betrayal spread, a storm brewed on the horizon, one that could engulf the entire galaxy in war. In a quiet moment, Layla contacted Nox privately. "This isn't just a political crisis," she said, voice heavy with the weight of impending doom. "It's a declaration. Someone wants to ignite a war that no one will win." Nox nodded, determination in his eyes. "Then we must become the guardians of the future, no matter the cost." The stars outside Lysar Prime's shattered sky held their silent vigil, and somewhere, in the dark corners of the galaxy, the first flames of a devastating war were already licking the edges of the void. The smoke over Lysar Prime still lingered, like a wound across the stars. The once proud summit was now a scar on the galaxy's fragile hopes, a testament to betrayal and fury. Yet amid the chaos, something unexpected stirred, a new resolve. Ambassador Layla Marquez stood on the shattered steps of the Accord Chamber, flanked by her closest allies. Her voice rang clear, unwavering despite the recent horrors. "The galaxy has seen the cost of division, but this is not the end. It is the beginning of a new era." Valen Nox moved through the gathered delegates, his presence commanding attention. "The flames that threaten to consume us all are born from fear and distrust, but we have a choice: surrender to chaos or unite." Across the devastated world, the battered fleets of Earth's forbidden ships readied for deployment, their quantum engines humming with a promise that had never been clearer. Captain Mara Chen stood on the bridge of the Peregrine, eyes sharp as she watched the skies. "Prepare to launch the Sovereign Accord fleet," Mara ordered. "We stand not as conquerors, but as guardians of peace." Her words carried the weight of history. The Sovereign Accord was no longer just a dream whispered in shadowed halls. It was a beacon of hope forged in the crucible of betrayal and fire. Elsewhere, High Admiral Orc seethed in defeat, his fleet scattered and his influence waning. The old orders were crumbling, and even he could sense the winds of change. But the galaxy's future would not be decided by fear or hatred. The intelligence gathered from Nightshade's covert operations, combined with alliances forged at Lysar Prime, fractured but real, formed the backbone of a new coalition. In the days that followed, Layla and Nox traveled across star systems, rallying diverse factions to the Accord's cause. The Rill emissaries pledged their ancient wisdom. The Solari, wary but willing, lent their formidable fleets. Even some Dralathi commanders, disillusioned with Orcs warmongering, quietly sided with humanity. At the heart of the Accord was a shared vision, a galaxy where power was balanced by responsibility, where the forbidden ships protected, not dominated. Back on Lysar Prime, a massive gathering of representatives ratified the Sovereign Accord in a ceremony both somber and hopeful. Layla's speech echoed through the Grand Hall, recorded and broadcast across countless worlds. "We have faced our darkest fears," she declared. "We have seen the cost of hatred and suspicion. Now, united, we can forge a future where every species thrives." The ceremony ended with a solemn vow, one that resonated far beyond the chamber walls. But the path ahead would be perilous. Old grudges lingered like ghosts, and hidden enemies still lurked in the shadows. The sabotage at Lysar Prime was a stark reminder that peace must be guarded fiercely. Yet as Captain Mara Chen piloted the lead ship of the Accord's fleet out into the infinite night, she felt something she had not known in years. Hope. The forbidden ships, once symbols of fear and mystery, now stood as emblems of a new dawn. In the final moments, Layla received a secure message from an unknown source, an encrypted data stream containing coordinates and a simple line: "For those who choose peace, the universe awaits." Her smile was faint but genuine. The galaxy was no longer a place of endless war and suspicion. It was becoming something greater, and humanity, with its forbidden fleet blazing like a phoenix among the stars, would lead the way. The Sovereign Accord, had risen, and with it a new chapter for all who called the stars home.